So far over there.
We ready, Patty?
Ready.
Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome. Hope you're all enjoying the little snow that we are getting to add to the lovely Christmas tree. Hey.
So appropriate. I know, you're just like a kid in a
I
candy
am.
store.
I don't even like snow, but I love it now.
Okay, first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the Committee of the Whole, October 1st, 2024, Committee of the Whole, October 15th, 2024. If there is no problem, I will take both minutes in one motion. If there's any correction, I did not see any. Did any of the other council members see any corrections or anything?
No, they were good.
Okay, so I will take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the Committee of the Whole for October 1st, 2024, and Committee of the Whole October 15th, 2024.
And do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, so I have a first by Councilwoman Diane Turner and Councilmember Adam Hawk. I will take a voice vote. Everyone say aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Yeah, everyone. Can you just make a note that Councilmember
I'm going to. I would like to excuse Councilwoman Rosalba Dominguez to be excused. She will be down in a few minutes. Our first discussion item is presentation on the Murray Coalition. Sherry Van Bibber is presenting 15 minutes. Sherry, do you have any guests that you would like to introduce while you are up here?
I would love, it's so weird to talk with the audience to your back of your head. So this is Whitney from the Salt Lake County Health Department. I kind of say she's my boss. She's my partner in crime and leads and guides us, and it's the hot air all around us. And Sierra March, who is our social let you give the official title.
The prevention coordinator for Murray City School
For
District.
Murray City School District. So we are grand partners together. And Kathy White from the Murray Chamber of Commerce, who is over the board. And yeah, so these are all my support system for everything that we are all doing for the community, so. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
We're taking off?
Yep.
Okay, we wanted to introduce everyone to, we've named it the Murray Partners for Prevention. It's Murray Partners for Prevention Coalition. There was a coalition, we were told, in Murray back before COVID. I never even knew about it, but anyway, I think COVID kind of reset life for everybody, but there are 17 other cities in the county that all have a coalition. And so the county had come to us and said, we're looking to get it back started again. So I had my friend Pam Cotter, and I ran around in 2022 for a year visiting Midvale and Mill Creek, different coalitions, because they're all run and owned by the cities. So we went to meetings, went and looked at them, started putting ideas together to see where it would fit and how it would fit with Murray. And so after we worked on that for about a year until 2023. And then, everything is like everywhere we went, everything just kept, it was just all coming together. Anyway, this program is based on, it's called Communities That Care, a CTC program. And we chose that through the chamber. The chamber, instead of running it through the city, we are running it through the Chamber Foundation, our nonprofit. And so we took it and we all decided at the chamber to choose the Communities That Care program. It's been studied for 40 years. It's doctors that have worked with 5,500 students from 12 to 28 years old and followed the dynamics of all kinds of things that our kids are dealing with. And so that's kind of where they came up with this program and developed this curriculum. So it's all based on data, and it's now gone across the United States, but it's also gone international. So it is growing like crazy. Our 60-second song about it is a community-owned and operated coalition implemented to support and enhance healthy families. So we definitely know that our kids are needing tools and our families and our community. And when all three of those come together, it just makes for a much healthier city. They look at a logic model, and it's based towards reducing risk factors and social protective tools that they look at to give for the risk factors for individuals, families, and the community. So everybody thinks when we get together at the beginning, this is just for you, but it isn't, because there's the individuals, like we said, in the community also. And it's based on just a few risk factors: anxiety, depression, racism, bullying, temperament, insecurities, food, home, poverty, poor social skills, substance abuse. I mean, all of these things that, come into the households. Our partners we have almost 50 partners, which has been amazing, I think, and especially compared to our other 17 in the county. But our partners are stakeholders who have a vested interest in our community. So they have been coming at least once a month. And we are all going through trainings, and we'll all be certified we are certifiable, but we will be certified by the end of this. And so we also invite anybody who wants to be a part of that. The city, we do have our city people, and there are different components. There'll be different work groups to it. There's religion, nonprofits, business, youth, medical, fire and police. So there's all these different, and they will all be different work groups, and all of these pieces, it's kind of like a one-stop shop where we can all come together and support each other. So instead of having 5 candidates night, we can have 1 candidates night, and we all support each other, and it's not the same night as the Haunted Woods and the same night as the high school dance. So that's kind of the goal, so that we can all kind of work together and make things a little bit more cohesive. But all of this is to create change that we know we need, and strengthen our youth. And we look at, I know I'm gonna get to this, but, let's see, I'll just think of this. One of the goals is to start working upstream instead of we know things are already in place downstream, but we wanna get ahead of it so that we can create these tools and do these things and for prevention instead of having to come in after the fact when the issues have arisen. And because of that, Sierra, the school district, does the SHARP survey with students 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th every 2 years, correct? And so that looks at these risk factors and when they survey these students. And we've learned to recognize what the needs are. One of the biggest needs that really we talked about in one of our meetings, and our youth, we have a youth coalition, and it's our NYCC, but those students were there, and when we talked about, one of the biggest things was 6th graders dealing with suicide in Murray, in our elementary schools. And our kids step back, and they're like, you have our attention. So just being a part of the coalition and knowing these kind of things and where these areas, we look at the zip codes. This is why it's good for us to work with planning and zoning, economic development. We look at zip codes and where these things, where more of the numbers are at and more of the needs are at. We found that too, this gives ownership to our youth. And when we're able to work together and create opportunities for them where we can recognize them. We want the students, we want the people. We just did a story for the New Murray magazine, and we said we want, anybody that wants a voice or wants to, do something with the community to join the coalition and be a part of that. It has been in Utah for 21 years, so it's a very resilient program, and it's very sustainable. The assessment is for social behaviors, vulnerability to gangs, violence, underage drinking, and I talked about the 6th graders. So because of this, we were looking at a grant, but all of us were on the phone, and Tori Jensen, who's the vice principal's wife, we all did a Zoom with all of our kids, and they wanted to do a project for the community, and they came up with self-care Saturdays. And so we did a self-care Saturday, and it was, we put it out to the whole Murray City. Families, all ages, come in your pajamas over to the Murray Library, 9 to 10. And we had a specialist just teach breathing exercises for anxiety and stress. And I had lots of people calling me and saying, my child needs this so bad because we don't need to see a psychiatrist or we don't need this, but we need tools. How do I work with them? And this was, so we thought if it works well, we'd like to do it once a month. And we've been, had specialists lined up to help work with tools for that. But we found that is the prevention, what is leading, so the SHARP helps us lead up to the issues that are causing the problems in the community. Then we build our prevention people where we can encourage and develop and connect and then celebrate our what is working. And all of this will be data-based and we will follow this. It doesn't happen overnight. So it takes time for it to come to fruition. We just started officially in August, I think. I mean, we started doing meetings in January, but our grant officially started in August, I believe. And we were gifted a $72,000 grant for 3 years, so we were thrilled with that. And I don't know if it's because we were doing so well, and I don't think it's just us, but they are looking to add to that to up it to $90,000.
Where did the grant come from?
From the county health department.
The county does that.
Yeah, the state
You guys.
opioid grant settlement funds.
Which also, they gave us naloxone, and offered us 109 per coalition, and we called right away and said, yep, we want them all. We want 109. And then we gave them to the fire department, the police department, Costco came over, because with the homeless in the bathrooms, and the parks and the bathrooms. We had people, and then we did it at the night out, the safety fair, and we asked people, why did you want them? And just the reasons were amazing. You would have thought we were Halloween. And it was that people knew what they were. And we just got a call to offer us as many as we wanted. So, Joey, we got it. So we will give more to the police and fire, because they're like $75, I think, a box.
Yeah, they're expensive.
They're expensive, so there again, that's something we're able to give back to our own community with that. But also creating opportunities, like we said, the Self-Care Saturday was one. Teaching skills, recognizing people for these types of things, creating bonding, healthy beliefs and social development. One of the stories we kind of really wanted to share with you all, we just did the Haunted Woods, 50 years, right? When we started, so the Murray Exchange Club, the Murray Chamber, and the Youth Community Council have taken over from the city, was our 50th year, but our 18th year running it. And it's a lot. We had 7,500 people is what we ended up with. But the kids at Murray High, who are our main group, we usually have about 5 high schools. The kids at Murray High plan their whatever spirit, I don't know, whatever Halloween, all 3 nights, the same nights as the Haunted Woods. And nobody wanted to tell me until somebody I happened to find out. And I'm like, what were you gonna do 2 days before? I mean, this is not okay. And so my president was stressed. We have 2 presidents. One is the SVO Cottonwood High School. One is at Murray High School. And I said, we have to find an answer to this. And they're like, well, students don't need as much service hours anymore. And I go, well, that's not an excuse to me. I was not very nice, but I was like, they're gonna walk away. And I said, that's not acceptable. And I said, this is a project that we have always owned and run. And I said, we have to figure out a way to make it work. And so I have to say, I was amazed. Tori from Cottonwood High School, she got 5 clubs. We had the wrestling team, the soccer team, the baseball team. They said, just don't get the football team because they were playing that week. And we had our football team, Murray High School football team did come down every night. We asked the clubs at the high schools and we give them a stipend back if they can have 10 kids there all 3 nights, and then help us with setup and help us with takedown. But anyway, so the kids were like stressing out. Anyway, they got it done, and Tori Jensen and John Jensen from Murray High School, they got to all of the advisors, and everything came and worked and went beautifully, even more than we expected. The Cottonwood High kids loved we had Skyline, we had Taylorsville, we had kids from all over, and they were dancing and singing throughout the woods, and it was just so much fun. But the really cool thing was, after it, on the 3rd night, when everybody's standing there to watch the presidency that had stressed out, they did it. We didn't do it. They did it. They made it work. But they took it, they had to take on. It wasn't like just gonna happen like it normally does. I said, we can't run. I'm not gonna run up and down the woods in 3 costumes by the time all day long by myself. We have to have, and so it was really so cool to watch them feel that empowerment. They have a piece of the city. They're a part of the city. And that's why we always tell our Murray Youth Community Council, we want them to know who their district representatives are. We want them all to know who their mayor is. We did have a street sign for the mayor in the Haunted Woods, and Mayor Snark too. But anyway, and it was so fun afterwards too. We had, I think, 20 or 25 kids come up afterwards that all wanted to join the youth coalition, and from the LGBT group to, I mean, everybody, there just was there's so much diversity, but yet no, there wasn't, you know, and just watching the connection of all the kids and how much all of that came in. It's like, I feel selfish because just a few of us really got to see that at the end, but it showed you their connection to the city. And that's why, I mean, years ago, I started looking at that when I was over the kids at the Boys and Girls Club. But I thought, if the kids are connected to our government people, and that they just feel like, oh, the mayor knows my name, you know, my city council people, I can actually go to Resolva and say, you know, how do we handle this issue? And that's what we kind of want to do. And everybody says, why do you want to get kids involved in government? And I'm like, have you seen it? We need to learn to be nice. And that's what the kids all want. They want better tones, and they want, and so that's kind of the goal of this whole thing, is that as a community, and all of us, we're equals, we're working together, we're supporting each other and getting
You have
stronger.
a video you wanna
Yes.
wind down with your tongue
Got it.
slipping away.
About 1 minute, it's just a 1
Also,
minute.
Do you have a schedule of your meetings, or do you
we
have
do.
consistent meetings?
Yes,
that
we
you-
meet every Tuesday at Murray School District.
Not every Tuesday.
Well, once a month.
1 month.
You're right.
Typically the
It
third
feels like
Tuesday
it's
of the
sometimes
month.
that. We
4 to
meet,
5.
but yeah,
Okay,
4
so
to
you
5.
have public meetings that.
yes.
Okay.
And Adam is there quite frequently, Pam is there, so they,
And how do we find out about that?
well, we can send it and have it, definitely. I mean, I want all of you guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Hey, okay, we need to get going. If there's
But is there someplace, there's a schedule that the public can
I can
find
give it,
out?
I can give it to you. Whoever you want me to give it to.
Okay.
Okay, Jennifer.
And these little gifts are from the coalition. And these are what was passed out in the Haunted Woods, the little brains.
Yes, and again, we had that one grant, but also Parents Empowered gave us a $5,000 grant, which they did this. We also gave,
I forgot to wear my jacket. That's what I was gonna wear.
they gave
Okay,
us all
yes,
jackets,
yes,
staff jackets with Parents Empowered in Murray City.
Yeah.
And they gave, was it Chit Chat cards, these cards? And we gave all of them out. There was like 2,200. I mean, we gave them all out, and it gives you go in, and it's all kinds of ideas to do with your family together.
Okay, so let's wind this down and watch your little video and go on to the next one.
What do I do? Where are you going?
It already went.
Oh,
This is just
But
a
there's
thank
music.
you video that they will be showing at an appreciation banquet later this week. So this is just a video that shows all the work that the coalition has done since January.
what I do? Let's see. So I mean, these are just since we did the fair. That was the nonprofit fair. The brains. I don't.
Parents Empowered.
That's our sound.
Yeah, there is.
You could, by the mic, they're
Oh.
right.
I can't see, right, where's the mic? I can't see that far.
The way
Here?
to the left, but maybe I'm wrong. What's that to the
Right
left?
above your mouth.
It's just
Like
some
a song,
instrumental.
yeah.
Okay.
It's mostly just the pictures of the event.
Here's our logo, and this was actually Whitney and her kids. They came and did the 4th of July and gave out 10,000 flags with the Exchange Club. This was Alhana Woods, our staff. This was the football team, and Brett is our PR guy. We were down at the nonprofit thing. This was legislation. We took the kids to legislation. I think Pam and the mayor all in there, and Kathy. The kids did 2 blood drives for a student that had to have a bone marrow transplant. So, I mean, we listed about 17 things. They helped with the Red Cross all year long. They did the breakfast with the firemen for the burn group and cooked a whole breakfast for the whole city. They do all the things that are needed for the Spartan kids at the high school and the clothes closet. We helped Doug Perry do boxes at all the elementary schools to collect clothes K through 12 for all the refugee families coming in.
Yeah, there's many things that
So
the
many.
coalition is involved in. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sherry.
She's like,
We appreciate you
Thanks,
coming
Sherry.
in. Is there any other questions from the council to Sherry or her lady friends?
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, women.
Who's here?
He's not here. So
okay.
Doug is not here?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
I was gonna say that.
Thank you, ladies. See you tomorrow.
City website, are you guys on the?
Okay, we are now up to the power.
Good idea.
Power discussion, Murray City's participation in UAM's proposed natural gas projects for baseload and peaking plants. Greg Vaughn and Matt Young presenting, you have 30 minutes.
It's all good.
Hi, guys.
How's everybody?
Good, how are you?
Doing good.
Council and the mayor and congratulations. Thank you. Pretty awesome. Anyway, we're gonna talk tonight about natural gas peak and baseload power sales contracts. And we kind of briefed you a little bit on this already, so we'll just kind of go through it. If you have questions, please ask. So if we go back, well, to 2023, there's an integrated resource plan that UAMPS had performed for them that identified a significant need for both baseload and peaking resources. So looking at natural gas, it's cost competitive and dispatchable power. They were looking at nuclear back in the day, but that is gone. And so now they're looking at replacing some of that need with natural gas. And so they came to us with a 20-year forecast and kind of put our load on a growth curve and showed what we might need in the future, 20 years out to 20 years. And and then of course, just remember that Hunter plant is possibly offline 2032. That's probably the earliest it could be gone, but that's 22 megawatts of our coal resource that we have right now in the Hunter plant. And so UAMPS came up with 2 plants, one in a peaker plant that's just designed to help us with our peak. And our peak starts at like 4 or 5 o'clock at night or in the afternoon and goes till 11 o'clock at night, and that's our peak. And that doesn't coincide with some of the other resources that we have. So and then a baseload facility, that one's in just outside of Pocatello. I've been told that that's not really close to Pocatello, but it's okay. It's a good spot on the map to look at. And then the peaker.
Is it, sorry to interrupt you, is it like near where the nuclear plant would have been? Is that kind of in the same area?
So Idaho Falls, I mean, yeah, so it's
Is it closer to Idaho Falls than Pocatello?
It's closer to Pocatello
closer to
than
Okay.
Pocatello.
the
so
nuclear
not-
plant would have been at the INL site, closer to Idaho Falls.
Falls, okay.
But
Howard County, right?
Howard
Our
County.
county, exactly. I like it, thank you. And then the peaker plant would be down in Millard County, down in McCormick. I already said that right. So, anyway, so that's the 2 plants they're looking at. And like I said, one's combined cycle baseload, and the other one is reciprocating engines that can ramp up and ramp down fairly fast. So with that, we've looked at well, we can just we're gonna speed this along a little bit since we've looked at I think they initially wanted us to do 27 megawatts in the base load and 11.87 I think in the peaker plant. We're representing 20 megawatts in the base load and 11 megawatts in the peaking plant. And the nice thing about these both plants will have the ability to burn hydrogen in the future, which I think is very important because that will help offset some of the, will help make it cleaner. So I think that's something to remember. That mix will be just in the future when they get this all developed. We'll know exactly how what that will look like. But then when they look at these facilities, someone might say, well, why Idaho? And why we're in Utah? But they have to look at availability of land close to. We have to hook onto Rocky Mountain Power's transmission line. So they look for transmission access, gas pipeline, and availability of land. And so that's how they pick these two sites. And and then with that, the reason we're coming to you right now with a power sales contract is we have to get in the queue. To get into the queue, we have to have these signed by everyone that's participating in this in these two power plants, and it's. I'm gonna let Matt talk a little bit about the cluster study window that they're trying to meet.
Yeah, so the way Rocky Mountain Power used to do studies is it was kind of first come, first serve. And so the process was long and drawn out sometimes, longer than it needed to be because people would put their projects in the queue that weren't really projects that were going to happen. And so the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, came in and intervened and said they changed the way that transmission owners like Rocky Mountain Power would conduct these studies so that they weren't holding up people that had projects that were viable projects. And so now they do, instead of a serial process, it's a cluster process where everyone submits their projects, and Pacific Corp or Rocky Mountain Power will study all those at once. And so they're trying to meet, we're trying to get into this next cluster study, UAMPS is. If not, it would be delayed possibly a year out. We'd get into the next cluster study. So that's kind of the reason for the timeline right now is if we don't get in this window, then it would delay our participation in the project for a while.
Like years, right?
At least a year.
At least a year till next year.
Yeah.
A year to 18 months. So
We
so
go
that's kind
back
of
to this.
it's So if you look at both plants, so LCOE, levelized cost of energy, the peaker plant is, like I said, if you look at that pricing, it's $93 to $167. That depends on the capacity factor. So if you look at the capacity factor is what it's available to run and then how much it's actually running. So if it's running at 20%, which is really low, I don't know why, and I can't, it would, anyway. So the capacity factor of 20% would be $167 a megawatt hour, and that's in 2024 dollars. If it's at 60%, that's where it gets kind of better at $93 a megawatt hour. And if it's at 40% capacity factor, it's about $112. Now on cost-wise, that's higher than our wholesale rate right now, obviously, but it's meant to shave off peak pricing that can get upwards of $200, $300, $400 a megawatt hour sometimes. Not always, but it can get to that. And so that's why it's the capacity factor that kind of contributes to the cost there. If you look at the baseload facility, so if it's at a 80% capacity factor, it's gonna be around $66 a megawatt hour. If it's running at 40% capacity factor, it runs up to $94. And if it's at 75%, we're looking at $69, which in today's dollars is quite good as far as new resources go. It's expensive for new resources to get put on to all the costs and everything, upfront costs now. So those are costs that we can live with. And I think commercial operation date was 2029 for the peaker and 2031 for the combined cycle.
Greg,
So, yes.
what percentage of our power does this represent?
So let's say in the summertime, we're at 100 megawatts, and this would be about 31 megawatts total. 20 base load and then 11 megawatts peaker. So 11 megawatts isn't not a true comparison, but 20 megawatts would be a fifth of our load. So
So it's, we're not talking about a complete load here,
No.
we're just talking about a
this is
percentage
a little,
of our
this is
loads.
a piece of the pie.
Okay.
And it fits right in, it fits in really nice with our resources. We're still looking at more, well, we don't have wind yet, but we're looking at a wind resource. We're still looking at solar and battery backup and geothermal. So those are some that we're still looking at because we still want to improve our portfolio.
Yeah.
I think our portfolio is pretty amazing. We have 15, depending on the time of year, 15 to 25 megawatts of CRSP. That's our hydro, which is a nice, clean, renewable resource. We have our our methane gas plants, which we were told isn't as sexy as some of the other ones, but you know what? It does its job in taking methane gas that would normally be vented into the atmosphere and generate electricity with it. So that's those are some of our best resources, really, our methane gas plants. And then we have a 5 megawatts up the Little Cottonwood Canyon for our hydro, and that runs probably 3 to 4 months out of the year. It goes a little bit longer, but not as we don't get 5 megawatts all those months. But that's an awesome resource as well. So I think this fits our portfolio really well, especially replacing our Hunter plant when the time comes.
Greg,
Yes.
what is our initial financial commitment? What are we required to put in? Because everything is just so nebulous in here. Maybe, you don't know how much it's gonna cost, but we need your commitment, and so I'm kind of concerned about that.
Let me see. So we've got,
And then there's bonding and
yeah, so I mean,
long-term bonds and.
and this is how we've done every one of our resources that we've been in over the years with UAMPS. This is exactly how it works. So they get the bonding, and the bonding pays for all of the costs. We don't incur any costs until we start generating electricity, and then we start paying that back as we take that 20 megawatts. That's how we pay our portion of the bond back. So they put all the costs into the bond, and so there isn't any upfront cost for us
So they initially put the bill?
in the bond. Yes, yeah.
Right.
The bond proceeds, as they do those bond proceeds, they are able to incorporate the costs. So there's not any cost incurred on our part until the actual plant is built and operating.
But we have to commit to something.
Well, it's the 20 megawatts in the base load project and 11 megawatts in the peaker. As we take that, and then we pay let's say $65 a megawatt hour. As we pay that back, that's how we pay the bond off. So that's our portion of the bond is paid back by power sales contracts.
And we have to commit to 20?
I'm not sure what the bond length's gonna be on this. Our 20 megawatts, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, so our commitment will be 20 megawatts in the base load, and we're looking at 11 megawatts in the peaking plant.
What's the maximum for everybody? I mean, what's for us to move forward, what is the total megawatts that, or
For-
cities that have to?
So
agree?
for this to be a viable project, we have to have 85% subscription rate. So they have to have enough, we have to have 85% of the 360 and 85% of the 200 megawatts subscribed within UAMPS. And UMPA is I think in the, as a baseload project, if I remember correctly. So they're looking at joining this with us, UMPA is. And
Is that new?
no, they've been in this from the beginning, I believe. So,
What's the current subscription rate?
they were right around, I think 80%. Depends on, we're all going to our councils right now. So it all depends on what comes back
So
from the
it comes in
councils.
It's 80%. That's shy of the 85%.
They would go back, they would go back and
Force us into a higher percentage.
they would ask us to subscribe 5% more,
Okay.
which would put us at 21 megawatts and it's just under 12.
And then going off Diane's question, if over the next few years before we develop, the project starts, let's say that if something falls apart, we're out nothing at that point in time?
Well, there would be, you'd have to look at all the costs that have been incurred to that point.
So we'd still be on the hook for those costs.
Correct.
So this
You're
isn't,
not concerned about the,
Oh.
I mean, there just is, it's just so, I don't know,
With me.
it's,
One of the plants was, I was gonna go off the top of my head.
I mean, it's just odd to sign something that said this may happen and this may, but we don't know for sure, and, you know, it just, like I said, seems really nebulous, but you think that it's something we really need to be doing.
Yeah, we've got, it's one of those points in our, and this is with anything. It's like either you're in or you're out. We're not in the Payson Power Plant, which I wish we were in right now, because that would have saved us a lot of money over the winter, 2 winters ago. If we would have been in that plant, that would have helped save quite a bit of millions probably.
When did we vote no on that one with that?
That one, that's years and years ago, but we just opted not to get into that plant. And so, I mean, we're at this point now, either we get into this and go for it. I mean, this isn't new technology, this isn't something that's just, these plants are getting built, you know, all the time out there. So it's not anything that's out of the ordinary. They know what the costs are gonna be roughly. I mean, they'll get a phase 3 study done here fairly soon. And there is an out. If it take a 75% majority or super majority vote to disband everyone, so, and we would have a fairly sizable vote in that because we're one of the bigger utilities. It would take 75% to say, you know, we're done.
Who's involved right now? What cities are for sure doing it?
There's only like 4 in UAMPS that are not, and there's cities out of Utah.
Provo.
Yeah, no, well, Provo's a UMPA, but they're all the big cities, all the little cities, every Utah city is involved in these plans. So it's one of those, we're moving forward again on something. But if we don't get into this one, then I don't know when the next available plants, there won't be anything from UAMPS this big. This is, you're looking at 500 megawatt, well, 260 on a base load and 200 a peaker. They won't be doing anything on this scale for not my lifetime anyway. So it's one of those crossroads. I mean, same thing when IPP was, when we were looking at getting into IPP, CRSP. CRSP was kind of expensive at the time, but thank heavens whoever had the foresight to sign us up and take everything that we could take from that.
Me and Diane, is that right?
Yeah, that was.
Can we take a roll?
That's a Diane, it was just.
So, I mean, is it foolproof?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, they're viable projects and
It's worth the risk.
it's worth the risk.
Hey, Greg, if you're done here,
In the executive summary of the base load, there's a phrase in there that concerns me that I'm wondering if it's gonna get maybe wordsmithed out later on. And as it talks about, UAMPS will be responsible to pay the contract and their contractual arrangement costs to be set forth in the EPC contract. The contract price may be adjusted to account for possibly, among other things, scope of work changes. I know that change orders can drive a project crazy expensive. Is there a plan to put a limitation on this change of scopes or change orders in this?
Yes, and there will be a megawatt dollar amount that will get set by the PMC. And what will happen is if it goes above that, then we'll disband.
Okay, so there will be some
Yes,
safety
there will be,
mark.
there will be a
Okay.
safety.
All right, yeah,
There's a safety
I know I'm
net there.
reading the summary, so I
No,
don't
that's
wanna
perfect.
dive into
I
it.
appreciate you asking that,
I have a
because
question.
that's an excellent
Is that
question.
mandated by PMC or through UAMPS board?
Well, it's the,
PMC is made up by UAMPS board members that are participating in the project.
Okay.
yes,
So
yes, there's a
Greg
project,
being,
the project committee is, I'll be on that project committee, Matt will be the alternate. And I'll be representing Murray in the project committee.
So
So yes, there will be a levelized cost that if it goes above that,
Yeah,
So-
because most projects will have a 3% or
Yeah.
4% whatever cost
Yeah.
over max, so. we're
For
actually
sure.
there.
When will we know what our financial commitment will be?
we will, so once, I mean, they are, I know I didn't bring that with me. I'll get back with you on that.
Okay.
We will, I mean, we'll definitely know before.
Our next meeting, maybe?
We get an idea, we can get an idea of
Because if
what
everybody's
ours is
meeting now, we should know
Yes.
who's participating.
So by the end of November, we should have a good idea of what everybody's subscription rates are going to be, and then we can figure out what what are the percentage of the cost.
Oh, yeah.
Can Mason?
We can ask
Hey,
Jim.
there we
Hey,
go.
Mason.
I never seen
He'll
more
know.
relief when you walked in.
So, I have a question as
Perfect
Mason
timing,
gets set
actually,
up.
I know.
So this is to help replace what we thought we were gonna get from nuclear, is that correct? Like just another resource?
Yes.
And with the conversion of it being where it's at now to maybe even hydrogen later, this can help offset those demands and needs within the UAMPS branch?
For sure.
Okay.
Definitely.
And then with nuclear, when we were on that project, there was a cost to join. Is there, so I'm assuming there's no cost to join with this project? As an
That's what
investment,
I've
I
been
mean,
asking.
yeah, as an initial investment, I know, so as initial investment.
Yeah.
Cause I know with that, we had to put in what, $20,000 to $50,000,
It was a
and
lot.
then we lost that money when we decided to take the off ramp, right?
Yeah, that was kind of built differently, but this one, all of our costs are covered by bond proceeds, if I remember correctly.
Yes, the plan is that we'll be, we won't be billing the participants. We will, for the initial development period, we would have a lending agreement. We're in the process of going through an RFP right now for finding a bank facility. So we'd use that credit facility to move forward with the development costs, and then we would do a long-term tax exempt bond financing once the decision had been made to go into construction. So there would not be billings until the project goes commercial, so there would not be any invoicing during that period of time. And I apologize if I'm late, I thought we started at
No,
five.
you're good.
I thought we started
No.
at 5:30.
We got bumped up a little
Okay.
bit, so we got bumped
I
up a
just
little
I
bit.
walked in and saw you guys, I was like, oh,
That was perfect timing, actually.
Yes, that's perfect.
Right when the
Yes.
Did you get your
So,
question
Did you get your
answered?
question answered, Diane?
No.
Ask your question again.
What financial commitment is required from us
Upfront.
in order to be a part of this?
Sure.
Because, I mean, this thing is so nebulous, it just
The
doesn't.
power sales contract, is
Yes.
that, okay, I just wasn't sure what was in your packet.
Get the.
So the financial commitment, the power sales contract, the way that operates for all the participants, all the US members that sign it, is each member is saying that, yes, they will be financially committed to repay all of the project costs necessary to develop, construct, operate the facility, decommission the facility. That's the financial commitment that all the members sign up for when they sign the power sales contract.
And we don't know what that is.
We don't
What that
know.
cost is going to be. I mean, we don't know what the financial commitment that we will be required.
So we have currently, and I think it's in these slides that they're gonna show,
this year.
we have an estimated cost of what the levelized cost of electricity will be. This is assuming the project goes all the way through permitting, construction, goes online, and operates. That would be the levelized cost of electricity. For the peaking, it's estimated at $112 a megawatt hour. For the base load, it's $69 a megawatt hour. And these are best estimates that we have now. As we go through the development process, we would be revising the cost estimates for both of these projects. And that's just part of our internal development process because we want to make sure that the pricing works for the members. So the members, through the project management committee, which is a governing board, if you will, within UAMPS, will be part of the process of reviewing those cost estimates. And they can terminate the project subject to a supermajority vote if the pricing no longer works for them. A little more detail on how we will go about that process moving forward. We'll have an annual estimate of the development costs, and the project management committee would be making a decision whether to proceed forward based on an annual basis and what it looks like. So there'll be visibility into what those costs look like on an annual basis. And not every year, but during the development cycle, we'll be revising the cost estimates and making sure that the project still makes sense based on the engineering work.
Okay, but at,
But Diane
This
wants to
point.
know if there is,
yeah,
she knows that there's usage price.
yes,
Yep,
She wants to
okay.
know if
Got
there's
that.
any commitment up front that we have to give and if
any
it does.
monetary
Yeah,
commitment.
there you go.
No, not in signing the document. There's not a buy-in amount, if you will, if that's the question. There's not
Yes,
a buy-in
that's-
amount, sorry.
That's what
Will
I'm trying to
we-
find out.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that I'm getting like
When will we
comprehensive.
then be responsible for the costs?
Sorry, I missed the beginning of that, sorry.
When will we then be responsible for the costs, for our part of the costs? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, because it's gonna cost a lot, so.
Sure. So you're responsible for the costs once all the agreements come back and the project becomes effective. And again, the plan would not be to be billing the costs so long as we're going through the construction or permitting construction. But if the group decides to terminate the project and say there's been $10 million spent, then Murray would be responsible for their proportionate share of the $10 million that would be based on what you sign up for. And that's, I think, also part of the recommendation is the specifics on that. So we could, take the percentage, apply it to the cost incurred, and that would be the responsibility if the project were to be, either of them were to be terminated during the development construction period. Otherwise, we would start invoicing cost once it goes commercial. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So I want to
how
make sure
long-
I'm giving you a complete
And we're
answer.
projected for it to go commercial in 2029, correct?
Yes, 2029.
Peaker's 31.
I thought Peaker was 29 and baseload's 31.
Correct,
Yep.
yes. Yeah, it's the two different.
And
ones.
then as far as the cluster study for the $5 million deposit, who's on the hook for that?
So same process that we were just
It'd just be a
describing.
part of the bond.
It would be, so Murray would be responsible for their proportionate share
Okay.
of each of the $5 million letters of credit.
20 megawatts.
Yeah, 20 megawatts.
But what depending
what
at the end of
percentage?
this, what percentage we'll find out.
Right,
So that the 5 million is a line of credit. We're thinking that the cost incurred in those studies was gonna be, what, 125,000 for the peaker plant and 250,000 for the,
Oh, okay,
so it's,
okay.
you have
So
to
it's gonna
show,
be
you have to
less,
show
yeah.
that you have $5 million worth of credit
That, oh, yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
get into the
We did talk
queue.
about that.
That's part of the cluster study. I know we're getting run out of time here, but that's all part of the
It's a
cluster.
big
That's part of the
conversation.
cluster
If
study.
If they
So-
complete the cluster study, then we pay the actual costs for that, right? Which are the figures they just said. If for some reason UAMPS decided to withdraw, then correct me if I'm wrong, it's nine times,
Oh, that's right.
the actual cost, right?
The study cost incurred, yep.
Yeah.
So you would just be doing,
At that stage, yeah,
yep.
okay.
So the worst case penalty, if you were to terminate, would be 9 times 240,000 for the combined cycle. And then I think the peaker is 160,000, 9 times that. That would be the worst case penalty. But that is based on, the way the formula works is actual cost incurred on the study work at the time of termination. Sorry about the complexity there.
I have one more question. So we will have to repay the project costs, but that doesn't include the cost of the 20 megawatts once we use the megawattage, correct? Like if we are using the maximum of 20 megawatts on a day, then that cost is separate to our users, is that correct? We pay for the costs of the project with the bond. But then anything incurred after that in terms of the cost of what it's gonna be, what we utilize from that project, or is that a?
Murray pays it all back as we purchase the power, basically.
Okay.
As the power's delivered, we pay for what we receive,
Okay.
and that's how it's paid back.
Okay. Okay,
So as we take 20 megawatts per hour, we're paying it back hourly or daily or monthly or however you wanna look at that, but it's based on the 20 megawatts.
okay,
can we
And the-
take
and the
less
11
than
megawatts.
20?
We can,
they were projected 27, is that
but
right?
we've already ramped it back a little, we've already ramped it from 27 down to 20.
Sorry, Adam.
To,
We're out of time before I even get a single question in.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna go, we developed it for 15 years. How long's the bond? 25, 30?
We can still narrow the exact
Okay.
plan of finance, but the typical bond period we use is 20 to 25 years.
Okay, so let's say we're 10 years into this.
Yep.
And one of two situations, because they're interrelated.
Mhm.
Federal government decides that they're gonna clamp down on natural gas like they have with coal. Or we can't get natural gas like we did with coal 2 years ago. What do we have with this power plant?
Yeah, well, addressing the first hypothetical, if there's federal legislation or regulation on natural gas, I mean, it would likely, we would have the option to perhaps fuel switch. We could go to hydrogen, so that would be one option to pursue. For any of these options, we're gonna have to look at the cost of compliance, if you will, and compare it against relative alternatives. There could be another compliance option that is doing additional pollution control technology. Either of those two compliance options we would anticipate would be consistent with the Clean Air Act, so they would have to be demonstrated to be commercially available technology, either the fuel switching or additional pollution control like carbon capture. Right now, neither of those compliance options are commercially feasible at cost. So I think there's some practical consideration to keep in mind, but I mean, it's the hypothetical that you're, yeah. So we could look at those hypotheticals and assess what we were gonna do. I mean, from an overall UAMPS portfolio management perspective, what we're recommending to all of our members is to make sure to have good diversity in resources, because we're in a highly regulated environment and you want to minimize your exposure to any one particular resource. And the resource recommendations for these projects We have built that into the specific recommendation that we gave to Murray, all the members, where you're not sort of too much in one particular resource because it's just the world that we operate in, being heavily regulated, and the fact that we don't have any federal energy policy, that there's just this inherent risk that we have to manage. But we'll continue to manage it moving forward, and throughout the even, not just the development, construction, but operation period. It's just part of our business.
Okay, any other questions? I just have one thing that I read. I just want to make a statement. It says, whereas one of the purposes of UAMPS under the Joint Action Agreement is the acquisition and construction of electric generating transmission related facility in order to secure reliable economic source of electricity, power, and energy for its members. That's what sold me. Thank you. You guys did
Thank you.
great. If you have any other questions, I'm sure they would love to meet with you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Call them.
Yes.
Yeah, next week.
We'll
Oh,
vote.
also, council members, please keep all your materials. We are not going to print this again. So keep all your material that you were given. We're saving the trees.
For all the items that are going.
Yes, and I will make comments along that. So our next one is discussion.
All right, we're done. Thank you, guys.
You're off.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Craig.
You guys are awesome.
Okay, so our next discussion, a resolution approving an interlocal corporation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County for receipt by the city of Tier 2 Zoo Arts and Parks Fund.
Sorry.
And Lori Edmonds and
She has
is,
a meeting at 6, so
yep,
let's get her in and
Oh, I was gonna take the whole half hour.
you have 10, is Kim coming up?
Kim,
Are you gonna join us?
he's watching my purse because it's.
Oh, well, yeah, we watched the purse.
Robin can walk with
Robin. It's Phil I'm worried about.
It's Phil, I'm worried about.
He's not paying attention.
Okay, here we go. And it's yours.
It's just so easy.
Good.
Could I please have the funding that I earned from writing this grant from Zoo Arts and Parks? It's only.
Okay, so there you go. Well, we're okay on that. And is the money there?
It's from the county to us.
Right, and yes, do we have any discussions on that?
I just have one quick question. I'm fine with giving the money. Are we planning to expand the cultural arts programs like the concerts? Because they were so successful last year. Are we looking at doing more?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
expensive,
Yes.
so we have to kind of figure that out.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yes.
we would love to do it, but everything is money driven, of course.
And I have a
Just take it out the
question.
mayor's salary.
Is this more or less than what you got from the ZAP from last year?
It's less, they gave us a really odd amount, $110,410. It was just really an odd amount.
Okay.
I did not, I'm gonna say it, I did not put a lot of the theater in it this time because I didn't know if they were gonna believe me, we were still building it, to be honest with you. So I will add it this next time. I've talked to them and they're really behind us. We had a really, a good, feedback from the grant. So we'll add the theater into it this time and see how much they will give us for that.
Because I've heard from other nonprofits from the Zoo Arts and
They-
Parks, they've been not giving as much as last
They
year,
had
so.
more applicants this year. There were 232 and we get this
Right.
much of that pie. The pie is really hefty, but we get this much, so it had to go further. I shouldn't have told you that
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay. It's fine.
I was being honest though.
You need to be
Be
honest with us.
transparent with
Yes,
you here.
yes.
Any other?
Okay, do we have any,
question?
Yeah.
okay.
What was some of the feedback that they gave
That
from the grant?
that it was really strong. It was
Okay.
strong, they believe in what we do. We do a lot, many things. When Mary Ann started cultural arts, she really brought in a lot of different, the most local art agencies. Not all of them, in fact, I wouldn't think most of them do arts education, which is a very important part of our ordinance. So that is one of the things that we work really hard on. And then we've brought in a lot of extra things up at the amphitheater. The theater will put another layer on whatever it is we do in here. And so it will be really interesting on how they fund us next time, because we really will be done.
We'll really be down.
The bathrooms may not be, but everything else.
And may I say, Lori cuts herself short a little bit. This is really a credit to Lori and to her group, the
Yeah, we
Cultural
used
Arts
to
Group.
get hardly anything.
Yeah, the email that they sent back was very complimentary to the quality of programming we do, the variety of programming we do, the diversity of programming we do, and you were number 2 in tier 2?
3.
We were number 3 in tier 3 on the amount of money we received, so it's a
awesome.
big deal, and credit to Lori.
And Lori has no life during all this stuff, so.
None.
None.
She really doesn't have much life. She's pretty busy doing this at night.
At
Yeah.
night,
Yeah,
Okay, and we will be voting on that tonight.
we will.
Yes, in the business item number 1. Okay,
All right.
any other
thank you.
questions? None? Okay,
Thank you all.
thank you
Thanks.
for coming. Okay, we're on discussion, number 4, an ordinance amending section 2.10.030 and 2.23.010 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to duties of the Risk Management Division and the Human Resource Department, Gio Litchfield and Robin Colton. You have 10 minutes. Thank you
Thanks.
for being here.
Thank you for having us. This is a request because the council has the authority to adjust functions in a division or a department. And as I've talked to Robin over the last several years, it seems apparent to me that it would be good to take the workers' comp work and move it from my office to her office. There's so much overlap that it just seems natural. Now, years ago, we had a health and safety manager position that was in human resources. At some point, that changed. The risk manager moved to city attorney's office. And we're just taking that workers' comp portion and saying, it probably makes more sense to put it back in the human resources department.
And then you're,
Along with that, I'm sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
Along with that, this would give the risk manager a little bit more time to be more involved with the smelter site administration. In fact, as you look at that, I'd actually propose to change that language. It gets too narrow. I think the language should say, assist with the administration of the smelter site overlay district. And that way there's more than just the enforcement arm that he would be able to be involved with. It makes sense to me to have him. What we found over the years is when this first began, there was one person assigned to the smelter site when it was being developed. And as that person moved on, that institutional knowledge left. There's been kind of it's difficult to replace that. So if you have somebody whose background is in health and safety, environment, that's gonna be, I think, in terms of succession planning, that's gonna be a better fit than it is to have it what we've had before.
So there will be a personnel change then.
So I have a risk analyst currently. She does workers' comp and claims. Claims would stay in my office, and workers' comp she would move physically into Robin's.
So you get another person to supervise.
Yeah, so for me, it's great because we're a lean office, just 3 of us. And 1 is 3/4 time, so it gives me another personnel, and plus so many things with workers' comp crossover into HR policies and coordinating with the ADA and FMLA, and I think it's important to get those done timely and properly to coordinate all those policies, and this just ensures that having in-house that we don't have any kind of communication, lapses between the 2 offices.
Makes sense.
So I assume this person will have a dotted line to your office. In other words, they'll be able to use you as a resource.
Oh, sure.
for whatever you need,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And aren't they an attorney too?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's
Christine, Jordan.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's Jordan or Christine?
Jordan is the manager, Christine is the analyst.
Okay.
As far as administration wise, we totally agree with this.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a good move. And
Yeah.
So I promised Robin I would hang on with workers' comp as it's into transition until she's comfortable that all three of us know it inside and out. So,
So she'll be under you, no
She will be.
longer with the
Correct.
attorneys?
correct.
Okay. Cause, I mean, workers' comp and risk analysts, it's not just workers' comp that they would
Correct.
oversee. It would be anything that came from the police
That's correct.
department, anything that came from fire, any of those things, anything our insurance questions, is that
Mhm.
correct? And
Yeah.
so, but
So-
anything with staff is what I'm assuming.
So in terms of what would go with Christine would be workers' comp. We do random drug testing.
Mm.
That makes sense to be in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was workers' comp that was listed in the ordinance, and that's why we talked primarily about that. But whatever is associated with that, which is the drug testing, would go as well.
Does that need to be added or no?
I don't think
That's
it
just a
does.
do we already have that in our ordinance? Like HR package and,
We have a policy on that, yeah.
okay.
Oh, we're done. Okay, so we will
Okay.
now take a break.
It's like when they clean.
Joey.
Every time.
And we are, no, we're not.
So weird.
I don't know.
It should be standing still.
Okay, any other questions for GL or Robin? Now, we're gonna be bringing this to the council meeting, right?
Next week.
Next week. Please keep your materials on this one also.
I'll also get you a new draft, we have that in different language.
Okay, perfect. Keep that material also. Any other comments or anything? I'm good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are on discussion number 5, discuss an ordinance amending section 17.78.040, 17.78.050, and 17.78.090 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to standards for detached accessory dwelling units. Zachary Smallwood, you have 15 minutes. How are we doing on time?
Well, I won't take
We're
very
good.
long. This is just an
Oh, hey.
update from.
Oh, and also, council member, keep this material for the next meeting.
Yeah, so this one was really just an update from our last plan, or our last committee of the whole. So, just had a couple updates. You had some, Ms. Cotter, you had some updates just on the 4s, 3s, whatever.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Ms. Turner wanted, the change back to on the detached to meet the single family homes. Which that was changed and, Commissioner Pickett, and I'm not Commissioner Council, I'm still in planning mode. Wanted
Look at that.
some more, data on other cities. So happy to take any questions you guys might have on this one.
I'm still concerned about the rear setbacks.
Okay.
An ADU can be within 10 feet of the property line in the rear.
Mhm.
That to me is concerning.
Okay. So I guess, what's the concern there?
I always look at regulations, what if everybody does it?
Mhm.
As I stand in my backyard and I look across the neighborhood, think if everybody put an ADU within 10 feet of that back fence, the whole backyard would look like everything's crowded, and I don't like that view.
Okay.
So that's just me looking at something, if it were taken to the nth degree, which it can be by the law.
Yeah, is there a recommendation for something different, or?
Our current setback is 25 feet, right?
That's correct. Which would meet the same setback as a dwelling. That's what's prohibited in the past
Yeah,
from a
Yeah.
lot of people doing it.
yeah. I would rather stay at the 25 and make 10 case by case.
By who?
Yeah, who would regulate
Planning
that?
commission,
Planning
us,
commission would have to look at that.
based upon what criteria?
It would have to be in code
I don't
for
know.
them to decide.
I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable if you look at your backyard and go 10 feet from your backyard, and look straight across the fence line. And if you had nothing but some building there, I know we can build sheds on the property line, right?
And those can go up to 1 foot to your property line.
Yeah, so.
And 20 feet tall, 20 feet tall as well.
Yeah.
And detached ADUs can't go that high, they can't go to a second story. They
I'm
are
not saying I'm opposed to it, I'm just saying
No,
I'm
no,
concerned,
I know.
you know?
Yeah, and that's just why I'm trying to
Concerned.
explain some of that as well.
So I think if we did that, we'd have to give some sort of criteria for
To even
for the planning commission to guide it. We can't just leave it nebulous.
Currently, the planning commission does not see ADUs at all, their administrative approvals due to the previous state requirements for internal.
Yeah.
We took those,
Oh,
we
that's
just took
right.
it away. It's made it a lot easier process and less
What do
cumbersome.
other cities do?
A lot of them are administrative, hardly any take them to.
But as far as
I mean, for setbacks.
Oh, yeah, that was in the.
It's in
That
your
was in the
back.
original
Oh, that's right.
presentation, there,
Yeah.
So they range anywhere from 3 feet to 20 feet.
yeah.
So 25 is,
That's right.
we do have the most strict. Like even if we dropped it down to 15, we're kind of in the ballpark of most.
Yeah.
We'd still actually be
Where-
on the more conservative side, but requiring a larger setback than most
Where
cities.
does,
Yeah.
Okay. 15 or even 10.
where does the state want us to be at? I know they want us to include this, but do they have any like guidance or recommendations?
No, they don't really have any. I anticipate that it's probably gonna get preempted in the next session.
What are the recommendations? I know this is on their agenda.
Yeah,
Have they come
but
out with the bill yet?
no, they haven't.
No.
Specifics?
Yeah, and part of this,
It could go to 1 feet for all we
right,
know.
exactly, for all we know. Yeah, a lot of it, you know, we've been very cautious and very cognizant in moving in small incremental steps. A lot of the cities around here and outside of the state entirely, 10 is a good general number. It is what most places I've seen do. Like I said, you do see 5s and 3s. A lot of this you see built over garages. We actually have a number of those throughout the city that were built illegally. But, and so we just, yeah, that's kind of where we're headed at this point.
Just asking my fellow council members, do you see any concern with that 10-foot setback?
No. Like I look at my backyard and I can see I have a shed that's about 2 feet off.
Yeah.
My neighbor does. Like I can think of 2 or 3 more. Like
Yeah.
using your analogy of looking at the back line,
Yeah.
there are a lot of sheds that are only a couple feet off, and
And
it's
I-
life.
I have seen some of those
Mhm.
big RV sheds that are blocking the view of everything.
I could give you a house number for one of them in my district.
If I could just make one point, we are still only allowing detached ADUs on 10,000 square foot lots.
That's true.
Mhm.
So it's not something that is
Thanks for
common
the
in Murray at all.
Thank you.
There are,
Thank you.
there are very few 10,000 square foot lots.
Thank you, that
That's
helps.
an RM
Yeah.
what again?
It's
RM10.
R110.
Or 110, sorry.
Yeah.
We have a lot
the-
up in
the
my
im-
area. We
Which
have-
they're all
Yeah,
in
they're
east of
fine.
9th East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
Yeah.
There are R18 zoned areas that have 10,000
Oh,
square
of
foot
course.
lots that are
Yeah.
bigger, right?
Yeah.
Because I think mine's more.
Yeah, that's always just the minimum.
Right.
So the minimum would be
But
8.
I did wanna just bring the point that
Okay,
it
yeah,
wouldn't
that-
be,
that helps a
it
lot.
wouldn't be everywhere.
Yeah, because you know, a 5,000 square foot lot, and you plop something like this, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thanks.
Well, and that's a good point.
I'm just, you know, just thinking out
Could
loud
do
with
it.
you guys, you know, because I want to make sure that we think about this before we
Yeah.
go this. So thanks for letting me just.
Just saying,
Yeah.
have it.
I have it.
You're so-
Okay.
Okay,
So-
questions?
On page, it said where you, it says a separate entrance to the ADU shall not be allowed on the front, and you crossed out or corner lot side yard. Any separate entrance shall be located to the side or rear of the principal residence. Could there still have an entrance on a corner lot yard?
Yeah, so what I was kind of showing, and this was during the first presentation. So these are all houses that I've looked at that, where you do have, when we look at ADUs, we make sure that they don't look like a duplex or something along those lines where it's not taking away from the character of the single family home. And so these are instances, and there's plenty, I just pulled these out, but doors that are already facing onto corner side yards, right? That don't have ADUs, for example. That one in the bottom left-hand corner, that actually, to me anyway, it looks like the front of the house, but if you go around the corner, the actual front of the house is on that other side. And you do see doors, entrances to dwellings or accessory structures, things like that in those areas. I believe still having that 20-foot setback would lessen that. The corner side yard still would be 20 feet away from that corner side yard area. And at least that's, that was always the intent, was to never, these ADUs, they were originally developed so that they don't take away from the single family nature of the residence. And I don't anticipate that they would look any different, whether there's an entrance on the side or on the corner side.
Okay, so would the city then allow an additional curb cut for a second driveway? Would the city be okay with that or not, or?
There's varying degrees, and it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. That's usually done through public utilities, but it would be evaluated at that point.
Okay.
I do know that I think the limitation requirements of a detached structure is that it can only be, the entire structure can only be 1,000 square feet. So I don't think that would give you enough room for an ADU and a garage back there. So I don't think it would happen, but it would be kind of on a case-by-case basis on that one.
Okay. And then Diane talked about the outside.
The materials?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been changed.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you done, Pam?
Well, the state law, from what I've been reading, the state law prohibits regulating the exterior color and materials of a principal dwelling, but does not prohibit the same for ADUs.
Yeah, so for the principal dwelling, so for example, these 3 houses up here.
Right.
We couldn't dictate,
That they would have to have siding.
yeah, siding or what types or colors or, whether it's,
So they
rock
could do any
whatever.
color or whatever.
Yeah, but then when ADUs come on, and that was what Councilwoman Turner had mentioned, is that it should match whatever the main dwelling is. Which
Okay.
is, yeah, that was something that we put back in.
Yeah.
Good, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no problem.
I can't find it now. There have been 4 denials for an ADU over the last couple of years. Is that right? Of the applicants? I thought I read that somewhere that over the last couple of years, 4 people who couldn't.
I didn't think so.
Oh, there have been a number of people that have come in and asked for a detached ADU. They haven't been official denial.
We couldn't accommodate them.
Right, exactly. I get
Of those 4, how many would be, or whatever that were? I think, let's say it was 4. How
Yeah.
many percentage-wise is this gonna help?
Based on the ones that I've talked to, probably all of them.
Okay.
A lot of them have, usually what we do when we get a phone call about a detached ADU is we ask them first, what's your address? And that's like box number 1 is, do you meet 10,000 square feet? If you meet 10,000 square feet, then we can get into setbacks and sizes and everything like that. So typically when I make a claim like that, where we've had people that have had to deny, we have gotten past that size requirement.
Okay.
But I get probably a handful a month that wanna do a detached.
Really?
And we're if it's not the area, then it's usually the setbacks that kill them.
What's the average area? Are they 8,000 square foot lots? 6,000 square foot lots? Are most people who
For
don't make it past?
detached, for
those
they're typically about 8. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty standard across Murray, though.
That's most of our lots.
And we just kind of want this to be set before the people up on the hill do anything.
Right, I mean, and if
Yeah.
it changes and becomes more restrictive, then
Yeah.
I'll come back and
Yeah.
tell you all again.
Right.
And do more updates.
And adjust.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions for Zach? Alrighty, thank you, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
Alright,
I'm still.
Gio,
My copy may be different, but on J1, it should say shall not be located instead of shall not locate. At least I think that's what it should say.
Yeah, I'll fix it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I'm
we're
still here.
on to discuss, and we keep the materials for this one, correct, Jennifer? Please keep your material for this one also.
You're gonna have all my material.
That's what I figured, you guys could just leave them in your office.
Well, I take mine. Okay, discuss an ordinance, number 6, discuss an ordinance amending section 17.48.040. Did we already do this one?
Nope.
Okay. Lots of 17s here.
There are some.
And 17.48.200 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to screen signs in commercial manufacturing zones. Zachary, you're up
Yeah.
next. Oh, here you are.
I'm here again.
And please keep this material as well.
Yeah, so this one is gonna take some visual aids, cause
Yes.
it's difficult. So, screen signs here, so part of it is adding a definition of what a screen sign is. So, you'll know on 5300 South, the Security National Building,
Can I just interrupt? Why are we looking at this?
because Security National wants to advertise on this building.
Well, they're already advertising.
They're technically not.
Well, they say so-and-so has joined us and
Joined
so-and-so
us.
has joined us.
Join us, but the us has never said who it
You
is.
can't say off premises right now.
Yeah, and so,
Because I always come off there and I
Yeah.
see it all the time
You
and
know
it's
who
like,
does?
what? No,
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 just not.
no.
Don't say it.
No, you can say it.
Say it.
Murray School District.
Yeah,
They
they do a lot of
do it
off premise.
and do whatever, but it's just.
on this?
on
No,
their
no,
side,
on
just
their
their
own
own
signs.
Because anybody outside, that's why we're coming to you, because
Thank you.
there's a lot of this going on anyways.
Okay, I was just curious why we're
Just need
looking
some
at this.
regulations.
Yeah.
What did you say, Diane?
This is
Needs
different.
some
than what you
regulation.
said.
Oh, yes,
I'm like,
yes.
this is
Go.
So this was an originally installed as a quote unquote art installation. They did some graphics for a while and then they started
Christmas
adding.
time?
Yeah, Christmas time, they started adding some things. But back in 2022, they approached the city about starting to advertise on it. We said we'd look at it and now here we are. So a screen sign is a sign that consists of a screen-like material that is attached to a wall or parking deck and is capable of displaying electronic messages. They have to conform to the architectural and aesthetic quality of the building they're attached to. So the regulations we're proposing is that the property must have a minimum of 3 acres, shall be located within 150 feet of the I-15 freeway right-of-way, shall be oriented towards I-15.
Okay, pause a minute.
Yeah.
Define oriented towards I-15, because
That's
that's
not
kind of
oriented.
oriented toward 53rd.
So.
No, but it's still on I-15, you can see
Because
it.
it's so high, if it were lower, I would say it's oriented towards 53rd. But because it kind of
Oh, like it's
turns
street
the
level.
building, it kind of covered.
Because yeah, there is a part that like
Yeah.
covers toward it, but
I'm
that-
with you.
this is where I'm like,
I'm with
because
you.
I'm thinking about if we change this, what else are we opening up along that corridor?
Not very much. It's very.
Galleria.
No, no,
Because
they
that's
are
not-
in a,
that's not
they are in a
commercial.
mixed use zone.
Oh,
So mixed use isn't gonna be permitted, so
I promise you, I have narrowed it down to 5
I will let you
properties.
finish your presentation, I'll get into the weeds in a second.
So, oriented towards I-15, has to be incorporated as an architectural element of the building. Only one screen sign is permitted per property. And then the 5 square foot per linear foot of building frontage and at least 50 feet above street grade. So it already has to be like a 5-story building at a minimum. So a couple examples of where this exists already. You have that on the Hale Center Theater over on I-15. And then you also have,
Is that in Provo?
it's in Orem, yeah, Orem Place. Yeah, theirs is huge, yeah, that one is gargantuan.
But that's not even on a freeway.
Yeah, and it's not on a freeway, no. I
And
mean,
then
it might
there's
as
one
well
on
be,
State
but.
Street too in Salt Lake, like in the building inside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, across the street from the federal building.
I think I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those, the findings and stuff, I'll go over all those in the actual presentation. But We do, man, I didn't update this. So the city, we're recommending that the city council approve this with the planning commission's approval as well. This must be an old one. So yeah, I did carefully, very carefully craft this. I went back and forth whether, I measured the distance between, I took stuff into GIS, for example. Do you guys know what GIS stands for and what it does? Okay, so I would measure a line, do 100-foot buffer, how many properties could reach? 150, how many properties could I reach?
So like this parking lot right there,
Yes,
it's too short because it's not 50 feet.
correct.
Unless
And
they add 2 more
And
layers.
if they add 2 more, we could,
Then potentially.
Yeah,
why
so
potentially?
every,
Why isn't it?
yeah, every
I mean,
commercial
it really
property.
depends. Like, I can't say for certain that it has over the 5 acres or 3 acres.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, again, it would have to be
And like
freeway
the Select
oriented.
Health building is too far back, so they couldn't do it there.
Correct.
Okay, and then
The hospital.
the hospital's
far.
too far back. So they
Too
far.
can't-
I'm just
I know, I'm
kidding.
just thinking of like
Yeah.
development along this area of like,
Gone 3 acres.
cause here's another thing.
But
Orem and Sandy did development agreements on these.
They did do.
We're putting this in code.
Correct.
Why are we doing it code versus what they've done?
That's a no.
Because the city typically doesn't enter into development agreements for most things.
Explain what a development agreement is.
So if you say
It's complicated, so I
Give
mean,
me
so.
give me the reader's.
Do you wanna give the development
I
agreement?
really don't.
Okay, so really, it's just.
Well, I mean-
That's why we don't do many of them.
But a development agreement would include like some sort of setback or kickback to the cities, is that correct?
Not necessarily a kickback.
I mean,
It could.
well, I don't know,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
why I'm asking.
Right, for sure.
Because
it is
it
not a-
could be it could be perceived that way.
So if you look in your Title 17, or I'm sorry, 10.9A of the Utah Code, it'll define development agreement.
Hold on, let me pull that up right now.
Basically, it is when you're going to have an influence on how they're gonna develop their property.
Okay.
So it may have been that there was something financial that was given, and they said, in exchange for that, you're gonna do this for us. In my mind, I think it's 100 times better to have it in code, so that it's uniform, you've had a chance to look at it, and it's not just benefiting this person who's come in for a development agreement. So I do prefer to have it in code.
We also put it in code that we get 0.5% of whatever they make. Advertisement, to go to the arts or infrastructure.
If you'd like to pass that law for us.
Please go for it.
I'm gonna do it here first and then, yeah.
Yeah, so that's largely.
Yeah, but with the development agreement, we could do something like that.
That's usually where you are, take for example, Triumph. We've given them a pretty good deal to get what we want. We'll look at that also on Block 1. Are we willing to give more than what we would, if we just sold that outright? But we're willing to do more because we're gonna get more out of it than we would if we didn't.
Yeah.
So if you've got money in the game, then
Yeah.
you can say some things you wouldn't otherwise say.
It's already built, but it's fine.
And
Just kidding.
let's just go on with the bizarre world here, okay? Because bizarre world is we have a conservative who's saying, I don't want light pollution.
Yep.
I don't want my city to look like Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That is bizarre.
It is, isn't it? I don't care if we make money on it.
Sure.
You can't replace
Yep.
our dark skies, and we're killing our dark skies. And I drive past that building, and when it's on, it is Las Vegas for a block. I don't like it.
So can we set within the code hours where it can't be on?
Yeah.
Can we do like a dark
For
sky
5 p.m.
ordinance?
to 5 a.m. you can have it on.
Well, it's 5 p.m.
Wait, I'm going 5 p.m. That's when everybody's going home.
So
That's their prime time.
That actually brings up a good point, is that we do have requirements for electronic message centers that require a dimming at night. However, because this was initially installed as an art installation, it wasn't subject to those same requirements.
It blasts.
It does.
But now, because if this gets passed, They would be allowed to do that, they would just still have to meet the EMC requirements.
I'm still not sold on it.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on it.
I mean, it's going to exist no matter what. I mean, this will exist no matter what.
This building will exist, right?
That
We
screen
will allow
sign,
it.
that screen thing will exist, yeah.
But to allow it for others, I'm just not.
One of the things that we've looked at over many years is the off-premise signs that are lit up.
Yeah.
And when we were engaged in negotiations on that and threatened lawsuit and whatnot, what it became apparent was eventually there will be more, not less, of those. And so we tried to say, okay, then let's push it out to I-15 and not let them come into the city and like the residential
Yeah.
neighborhood. So we've done, I think, the best we can, given our options as a city and standing against the off-premise sign coalition
Yeah,
or money,
for
or whatever
sure.
you wanna call
Oh,
it.
it's gonna come.
And this
at
is just
some
kind
point.
of an iteration,
And
a little bit of an iteration of really that.
And you know, I would also say, you know, the light pollution of I-15 is going to continue no matter what. UDOT controls those lights, those lamps, that brightens up almost anything that's gonna go along the freeway. What we can do is, much like GL said, is narrow that to I-15. That's why it's not allowed. If you notice, it's not allowed on 215. I won't allow this, I said this would not be allowed.
The other problem he has that when he's drafting this is, you cannot draft it for one property. That would be illegal.
Correct.
So you try to expand it without making it so expansive that everybody's lining up the.
Which is why it's been very narrowly tailored.
Yeah, but you, right now, 5 buildings qualify or so.
Well, properties, not buildings, because the only building that would qualify is this one.
Yeah.
Because they would have to rebuild
Correct.
to something
But
that's at least
theoretically-
50 tall.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we could have 2 properties right now that don't qualify, but if someone purchased both of them, that they now have a 3 acre next to the freeway, so they could qualify.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't want to create an environment where we're going to, 20 years from now, someone's gonna say, oh, we can do this, because we're facing right now zoning decisions made in 2007 that were short-sighted. I don't want to, 20 years from now, somebody look back and say, oh, the council in 2024 allowed this.
Sure.
And now somebody bought out the whole strip right by I-15, and we have a circus going on there.
And I would say though, that that's another reason why we've said one per property. And so there would only be one per property. It won't. So if they combined a lot of area, you're still probably not gonna see it. And also, I don't ever see somebody redeveloping a property solely for doing this kind of, this.
No, but it's a side effect,
No, but I
right?
could see it at Summer Haze. And I have residents that live behind Summer Haze that are in the Hidden Village area. And they could have that in their backyard.
They are in the GO zone, that's not allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Just
it
want
wouldn't
my
be there
citizens
either.
to know that.
There are
Okay.
only 2 zones that would be allowed in, and that's the commercial development zone and the MG zone, which is the very far north of the city, and then pretty much right.
Could it go over where the smelter site is? You know that, not the you know where they're trying to clean up that one with all the graffiti on it?
It's too far away,
Could they put one there?
too far away.
Too far away.
Yep.
Okay.
150 feet really doesn't get you very far. It gets you to about the end of the building that they're currently located.
Okay. Alrighty. So do we need to keep this material also?
Can we,
Oh.
can we add a narrow of dimming time, even though they've already built it for an art piece? I mean, I will say, I'm sure they can dim it.
Mhm.
It's a matter of
Yeah.
electricians doing that.
Right,
Can we
it
add that
can be.
into the code
So as
as
part of
this?
as part of the EMC, it already requires it to be dimmed. So that's what I was mentioning. So
Mhm.
right now as an art installation, it's not subject to it. But if this does go forward and get approved, then they would be subject to the sign section of it, which would require that dimming. If we wanted to do something for art installations, it would have to come in some other text amendment document.
Okay, which maybe we should look at that anyways, because if buildings are doing this to go forward with their projects, then, and it goes on a street or it goes on State Street or anywhere, I mean, there's still so many areas to be developed. That's something that we should consider moving forward too.
Yep.
Good catch.
Or even limit it, I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
one dumb question, cause I think it's not in mixed use zones. There's no way that we can have like a 6 South situation where we have an apartment building that's like blocked by a billboard in one of these situations. You know the building I'm talking about
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
for
proposed
sure.
district?
Yeah,
This wouldn't happen here, right?
Well, not with this type of signage, no.
Okay.
A billboard, that's a whole
Yeah,
other
yeah, I'm saying
conversation.
with this signage
Maybe
right
like
now,
with
that
this
wouldn't
type of
happen.
signage, no, it has to be attached and
Because it has to be.
architecturally, has to be architecturally meshed with the
There's some
building.
fun background to that.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we done with all the questions for Zach? All right, then we are on to discussion number 7. I know, Jennifer, we are way over. I will try to pick it up.
Actually not.
Oh, we're not?
Straight to your next meeting.
Oh, we're going right
We're gonna
straight to
break
our
then.
next meeting, so I will give everyone a 5-minute break to go to the bathroom.
Two
so-
items.
Oh, if we hurry, we got 10 or 15.
Well, this one has
We're
no
not
topic
gonna-
of
All right,
conversation.
let's go
Like, we
on.
have nothing to say.
Discussion of ordinance amending section 17.1, 70.120 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to height regulation in the Murray City Center District MCCD. David Rogers, there you are.
Hello.
You have 10 minutes.
Thank you so much. I will not be taking 10 minutes.
Okay, there you go.
Well,
That
at least
means
I
we
won't be
have a
taking
longer
10 minutes,
potty
that's up
break.
to you guys. So, yeah, this is a text amendment modifying the height of a very specific area of the MCCD zone, specifically east of State Street and south of Vine Street. So these are
yes.
the parcels that are impacted, and these were all already changed from the MCCD district before. And so for this, we just felt like having all of the parcels that had been already impacted, making them all part of it just makes it a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier. And to address the elephant in the room, this request is due to the Triumph project that's coming on the old City Hall site, specifically because Arlington Avenue and Myrtle have different heights. They are different grades from each other.
Got it.
And so what Triumph wants to do is they're asking for it to go a little bit higher solely so the entire roof line across the entire project will be symmetrical.
Okay.
And because some buildings are measured from Arlington, some buildings are measured from Myrtle, they had different height requirements. So they're just looking to make this all symmetrical.
Okay.
And so the code changed the language. We are changing it from 6 stories to 7 stories, and we're changing it from 70 feet to 85 feet, specifically for this area, and this is the only change in the code that's coming.
Okay.
So, there's the language right there.
Okay.
So, first question,
Yes.
why are we changing it on the corner of State Street and Vine when that's gonna be a 4-base code in 2 months?
So this area specifically,
That corner will be, not the south part, like this property won't, but the north part will, sorry.
yeah, I mean, so we just wanted to change it because all of this area was changed previously, so specifically this area does call out the east of State Street and south of Vine Street, so we're just changing the whole area even though the form-based code is coming. We just wanted to change it as a group.
Why aren't we taking the 10 stories down?
So this area was the part, so specifically if you look at F, it says new buildings located east of State Street and south of Vine Street shall not exceed 6, now 7, or 70 feet, now 85. So this is specifically for this one area that the height was already changed from the rest of the MCCD. So we are just changing the area, the language for this specific part that was already changed
Could we do
previously.
it south of Myrtle and not,
Well,
or south of,
So the reason why we did it this way was for expediency. Triumph is trying to get entitled and, which means getting approval from the city. And we didn't want to add additional changes into the MCCD because that would require a new format for this. So we knew that it would be going, like, part of that will go to the form-based code, so it doesn't really matter in the grand
But
scheme of
that's-
things.
right.
We're saying with the 10 stories is that it's gonna go away with the form-based code. So,
Okay, that's why it didn't make sense that you weren't doing also the 10 stories if you were doing this when we're gonna change it in the form-based code
Exactly.
anyway.
yeah, so yeah, we're gonna change it in the form-based code.
And nobody's gonna apply for anything over there.
I don't answer, I
Yeah,
will
no
not
need.
anticipate that.
And even if they would probably tell them, you have to wait for the code to come out.
Most, right, that's what I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
that was my concern. If we can delay any applications, until the code comes out.
I wouldn't have said that on the record, but that's fine.
We can't do the process is time consuming.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to tell somebody they can't apply for an application, but.
If they can, we're coming back.
We can let them know that there are changes.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
The next
that was
question
not
is,
said.
if we allow this height restriction to change, what keeps Triumph from also doing where they just raise the whole thing and not just the lower part?
The development agreement that you guys are.
Okay, it is part of the development agreement, it says they
It's part of
can't.
the RDA.
Okay,
You guys
that's
have
what I
been-
wanted to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Nothing is changing with the design of the project.
That's exactly what I wanted.
Sorry. I didn't mean to-
Oh, no, thank you very much.
Any
Appreciate the
other
context.
questions for Zach or David? Thank you.
I do it all the
Thank
time.
you, David.
I'm trying to remember to keep on time, Zach and David, yes. Okay, so now we are on discussion item number 8. A resolution adopting the regular meeting schedule of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2025. Jennifer Kennedy will be presenting this.
Okay, this is for your meeting schedule for next year. Based on what our handbook says, I've scheduled the meetings for the first and the third Tuesday. And we can talk about a couple of them if we want to change them or not. So that's what I wanted to go over in this meeting. First of all, the meeting on May 20th, which is your second meeting in May, that could potentially conflict with the ICSC conference. I don't know whether we're going to that next year or not. But I don't know if we want to move that in anticipation that 2 of you might be gone.
No, because that's an invitation by the mayor.
Correct.
And so the
RDA.
mayor does that
Right,
invitation.
RDA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the mayor does that invitation.
Yeah,
But
but,
it's still an RDA function.
Yeah.
So that may be worth moving that
yeah,
meeting.
I think that's.
I don't wanna change any meeting.
No,
I think
I don't
that-
either.
I don't either.
I just wanna leave
like
all the
Even
meetings.
November 4th, it's on the election?
That's another one.
Yeah, that one, you do, yes.
We need to.
We wanna be here for election. We wanna be here.
The August 19th,
That was another one.
The what?
August
That
19th,
was the other one I wanted to talk about.
Okay,
too.
yeah, that
yes,
is the UAMPS one,
yes.
and,
I'd
Well,
like
and
to change it to
historically,
the
a
12th.
majority of you have gone to that conference.
yeah.
I think
And
it's
let's
important
just-
that we go to that one.
Let's see what happens to that date. I'd rather not change anything right now,
Why?
because we don't know where we're all going to be on August 19th. I mean, I may not wanna go, Paul may not, Adam may not, with school starting, whatever.
I don't
We may- What?
I don't go to conferences.
Yeah, see,
Working.
so I don't wanna change anything until we get closer to these dates, because I don't know what I'm going to be doing on August 19th. I may not decide to go to UAMPS. And if there's only one that's going, we only need 3 for a council.
But then,
But I think
if
that-
we decide we want to go, I
Yes,
think it's an important one that we
Yeah.
go to,
yeah.
then, the last minute, we're having to change everything and
Yeah.
it just
No,
doesn't.
you'll know by May or
I think
June.
I think
You'll
it's
know by
helpful
May or
to
June.
have your schedule set.
Yeah,
And if-
and then people know, I mean, they see
I
it,
agree.
this
Yeah.
is the schedule,
It's also
this was
helpful for the
changed.
staff, I would
And-
assume.
Well, and the administration too, because when they're bringing items forward, they like to have those dates
Right.
ahead of time.
I think it's
I'm not
important
saying-
that we,
Yeah.
make the changes at this point, so.
Oh, okay, alrighty.
So what do
And-
we want to do about the August 19th one?
Just leave the 19th as it is for now.
No, I
think you
move
should
it
move
to
it
the 12th.
Let's go 5th, 12th.
Yep,
We'll just,
Fifth and
How do
12th?
you feel, Paul?
I'm not happy about changing any dates,
Yep.
but
Me neither.
I go with the majority.
Okay, so it's the 12th.
And then the fourth change from.
And so the 4th, we're looking at
The 11th.
these, could we do these council meetings in October? The 7th, 21st, or 25th of October?
So real quick, Ms. Cotter, the problem with November is the 4th is election and
Yes.
the 11th is Veterans Day.
Yeah.
So either you're looking at having a meeting on the 25th, which is the week of Thanksgiving, which we can do. a lot of people might be out of town, or if we just wanna have one meeting in
Just-
November.
Let's do it on 25th and pack it with our most like controversial issues.
Not a bad idea.
Why not? Dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would think people would be here the Tuesday before, it's the Wednesday before, I think a lot of people take off.
Yeah. I think you'll be fine on the 25th.
And this is the October one.
November.
Oh, the November. Yeah, I mean, we don't wanna be here on the
I know.
4th.
Or the 11th, because we're off.
Who's running?
Okay, so the are we doing, so the 25th of October? Are you?
We're in November. We're talking about.
I don't want anything in
know if I've,
November on the 25th, but hey, you
Yeah.
people do what you want.
We can always cancel it.
And the mayor.
Okay.
So there's.
I don't think we want to be here on election night though.
No, I don't
No.
think
No.
we
There-
do.
I
No.
think
I don't
it's
really
gonna be
care.
That's
I-
too weird.
Tension.
That is.
You changed
Well,
the
especially when
district
some of
now.
you are ready. Well, yeah, we
We
usually try
usually
not
do.
to meet
I mean,
on
other
election
years
day.
we usually
Next year we
do.
have a few people.
And it's just
I know,
with
that's what I
next
said.
week being Veterans Day. It's
There's no results at that time, so.
Well, that's the other thing too. They are probably gonna give the results. Well, we already have a meeting scheduled
Yeah, no,
on the 18th.
I
so
wouldn't.
we're good.
I wouldn't do it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
are we? I think that's all I had.
So what are we going to do on November?
For me.
November, we're gonna meet the 18th and the
Is there a
25th.
conflict?
The 25th of
November.
November.
ICSC, that would impact.
When we get closer.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely gonna be with you because this person may not be around on the 25th. So, there you go.
So do we need to talk about the ICSC in May again? Or are we just gonna leave that on the 20th?
Just leave it on the 20th and wait till the mayor invites the people who are on the
It's not
RDA.
just the mayor's invite, it's the RDA function. It's an RDA function, so
I would
whether-
prefer just leave it as it is. We've already given in on the August and the November and the October. Just leave May as it is.
That's a great
That means you're gonna be out two
So-
council members and the mayor.
Yeah,
Can I just bring something up? If you change it to the 18th, 25th, and 2nd, you're meeting 3 weeks in a row, might make sense to move December 2nd to the 9th, because we all know the 16th will probably get canceled anyway.
oh, for December, yeah.
Yeah,
So just bump that one back a week.
yeah, that's a good point, actually.
When we meet 3 weeks in a row, we're done.
I mean, last time we came back from, I'm just bringing this back up.
Right.
The mayor you stayed in Vegas, but the rest of the councils came directly back to council that day, and the staff. So from ICSC in November, in May. And
And it was fine.
yes, for you, Pam, yes.
Yeah, it was fine.
So,
It was fine
I'm
for
just saying-
everyone.
I'm just
Jennifer and
saying-
I were here, all
There
the
were
other
some
council
people,
members
but there was
were here.
other meetings that happened throughout the day on the 20th that some of the staff did not come back. So I'm just saying, if it's a conference it's a RDA function and the RDA should be there and staff, I don't think it's viable to come back and go continue on. So I think we should reconsider, and that way your guys' schedule is done.
What about you, Adam? What do you think about me?
I'd say let's just bump it up a week. Like I'll use Elvon as an example. He was staff, but
Yeah.
he had flight issues and didn't make it till 8 or 9 that night.
And he had something to present that night too.
So May 6th and 13th.
Yeah, I think yes, we might be there, but it also impacts staff. We might present that night too.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure I have everything is on the 1st and the 3rd Tuesday, with the exception of May, where we're gonna do the 6th and the 13th. August, where we're gonna do the 5th and the 12th. November, where we're gonna do the 18th and 25th, and December the 9th and the 16th.
Yes.
Whatever.
I mean,
Looks good.
1/3.
Yep, whatever.
Okay,
All right, this meeting is adjourned. You have about 9 minutes.
there's 13 minutes.
13, that's 3 minutes fast.
Yep.
It's so much better to do it. it is 6:30 on November 12th, 2024, and time for the Murray City Municipal Council. All the council members are present. We have Paul Pickett for District 1, Pam Cotter, District 2, Rosalba Dominguez for 3, myself, Diane Turner for 4, Adam Hawk for 5. We have Mayor Hales, Brooke, our recorder, GL, our attorney, and Jennifer, our executive director. So we all welcome you, those of you who are here and those of you who are watching us online. We'll do the opening ceremonies and the Pledge of Allegiance, which I have asked Mayor Hale, and he has consented. So there he is.
Thank you. Please stand and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good, Mayor. Thank you. All right. First off, we have approval of minutes for council meetings October 1st, 2024, and council meeting October 15th, 2024. Are there any changes, any additions? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I will take them together. So do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the council minutes for October 1st, 2024 and October 15th, 2024.
I will second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay. Thank you. We have no special recognition. Citizen comments. This is the time that for citizen comments, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form that Patty has over. Very good. So, are there any comments?
Sherry Van Bibber, 5469 Avalon Drive, Murray, Utah, 84107. Be positive. Blood type. What else did you want? 801. Sorry.
That's too much information, but thank you, Sherry. It's
I'm an
nice
open
to
book.
see you.
I just wanted to thank everybody and thank Parks and Rec for helping us get through the Murray Haunted Woods. It was the most phenomenal so far. We had almost 7,500 people in 3 nights and about $30,500. That's a lot of $5 tickets. And everybody keeps, we need to raise the price of that. Going forward, we had our 50th anniversary this year, so we've had it 18 years. The city's had it the rest of those. And you didn't get to it this year, huh? It was cool. Every year it gets better and better. I know some of you did make it, but the animatronics, our people are just amazing. And I'm in the middle of adding up the hours because we had Cottonwood High School, Murray High School, Taylorsville High School. This happened from the nonprofit thing that we had that night when we were doing the money. The ballet dance company started coming in and doing. They did a thing and they were at Haunted Woods the whole time. So it was fun. We're incorporating more of everyone in the city every year. So that's been awesome. And we just want to thank Bruce Holyoke and the crew. AAA Restoration, we couldn't do it without them. Give Back Brokerage with Jen. They all did sponsors. Our big sponsor was Parents Empowered of Utah. And they were awesome, gave us a $5,000 grant. They don't ever do that, but they love, because we have so many people from all over the state that come to this event. And they gave us, I mean, we went through thousands of those squishy brains. So now everybody has an extra brain in Murray. And then we went through all the dynamics of all the different, I mean, it was just amazing. And the kids ran the show. And they don't just show up and do it. They have to get the volunteers. There's a lot of work that they have to do. And there was a lot of stress this year. We talked about that, a lot of stress behind, because a lot of things. Candidates night was also scheduled for the same night, the first night. So we had a lot of things we were battling up against, but it didn't make a difference. People were parked up on Vine Street. There was no parking. It was great. And the weather was fabulous. But anyway, we give the money to nonprofits with child abuse prevention and domestic violence groups. So thank you for handing it to us, I think. And we look forward to a lot more years, right?
Right.
We're thankful for the police department and the fire department. Because we have, when you're doing it outside, and we have a lot of money invested too, there's a lot going on in the park at night, so so we're so appreciative of their extra help too. So anyway, that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Any more citizen comments? Okay, seeing none, we will continue on. We don't have a consent agenda tonight. We do, however, have a public hearing. And that is to consider an ordinance amending section 17.64.020 and 17.64.090 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to residential fencing regulations and setbacks and fencing between residential and non-residential zoning districts. Zach Smallwood. Welcome,
Hello.
Zach.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a request from the Planning Division to clarify some residential fencing code in the zoning ordinance, and then also allowing for additional height when a residential property is abutting a non-residential property. So we do want to allow additional availability for people to have fencing in their on their property. So currently, as the code reads, you can see on your left-hand side there, when a house has a driveway within 12 feet next to it, and it's on a corner lot, they are not allowed to have a 6-foot fence past their home. It has caused a lot of issues with people not feeling like they could get their some additional privacy on their property. So we are proposing that we do on the right-hand side, which amends it to if there's a driveway within 10 feet of the house next door, that there be it's called a sight triangle. So you take 10 feet back from the right-of-way, which we carefully crafted that to say right-of-way instead of street. Some residents can misconstrue street as like the asphalt or the curb, as opposed to right-of-way, which could include, some space that would be reserved for a future park strip or future sidewalk, or just adjacent to the sidewalk. So the right-of-way, it makes more sense in those bounds. Does allow for greater enclosure. So here's an example of somebody that doesn't have a driveway next to their house and lives on a corner lot. You can see they can build right up to the sidewalk there, fully enclosed, no issues there. However, if you do happen to have a driveway on the property behind you, you're limited to that fencing up on the screen here. So again, we wanted to make that so people could have greater use of their property, be able to have some additional privacy if they'd like, and those things.
I don't know why I put this back in here, so I'm just gonna skip over it. So the new code would allow for something, this isn't exactly what it would look like, but it's the closest that I could find. So you can see where it kind of cuts off to the side there, where it's close to the driveway. That would allow for some sight distance when people are backing out, or, you know, leaving their property, but then allow for greater flexibility along that property. Looking at that, another example here, it pushes it back a little bit. Again, this would be required. So for example, you would have to take pretty much this panel and cut it across over here, but then it would meet our new code just fine. And then again, so we had a provision in the code that needed some clarification between residential and non-residential zoning. So currently, there's an exception in the fence code that houses that abut a commercially zoned property, which was kind of vague, that they could build a fence up to 8 feet high along that property line. But we didn't have a mechanism to approve that, so it just said the planning commission shall allow. Typically, that's just been done when we do like conditional use permits or something, when the commercial building goes forward, that allows them to go up to 8 feet. But we did have somebody that came in that owned a residence and said, I would like to put up an 8-foot fence, and I was like, great, I don't have a way for you to do that. So we working with the attorney's office, we found a way to kind of make that happen with the planning commission, with the anticipation of doing a text amendment, which is why this is before you now. So this will just allow it to the residents when they're abutting those two different zoning districts. Going the wrong way. So findings here, so we do find that the proposed text amendment promotes the individual property rights and does not conflict with the general plan. The proposed text amendment's been thoroughly reviewed to ensure the health, safety, and general welfare of the community are maintained. Staff finds that continuing to support single-family neighborhoods by allowing additional privacy provides owners with greater use of their property. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on August 15th, 2024, and voted 5-0 to 4 to recommendation of approval of the requested amendment. So we are recommending that the Planning Commission, or the staff and Planning Commission, recommends that the City Council approve the requested text amendment. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Zach at this point? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I will open it to public comment. Okay, seeing none, I will close this public hearing and send it to the council for a motion.
I'll motion to amend the ordinances section 17.64.020 and 17.64.090 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to residential fencing regulations and setbacks and fencing between residential and non-residential zoning districts.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
No.
Okay. Then Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Now we'll go to business items. We have 2 of them, and we'll start with the first one, to consider a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County for receipt by the city of Tier 2 Zoo Arts and Parks funds, also called ZAP. And Lori Edmonds is presenting. Oh, I guess not. I guess Kim.
Sorry, you're stuck with me. Lori had an Arts Advisory Board meeting this evening, so.
I was so focused, I didn't even see you walk up there. You
You
don't
are
even look like
fine.
Lori, but it's nice to see you.
So as we discussed in CLW meeting just
Right.
a little while ago, this is asking for your approval for an interlocal agreement with Salt Lake County. Basically, we're accepting $100,000 from the ZAP program for our cultural arts programs.
All right. Thank
Any
you very
questions?
much. Are there any questions for Kim?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, then I will accept a motion.
I move that we approve a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Salt Lake County for receipt by the city of Tier 2 Zoo, Arts, and Parks funds.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Is there discussion on the motion? Okay. Would you please take the vote, Brooke?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. All right. Our next business item is to consider a resolution adopting the regular meeting schedule of the Murray City Municipal Council for calendar year 2025.
Thank you.
And we have Jennifer Kennedy
So for
presenting.
So for next year, all the council meetings have been scheduled for the first and the third Tuesdays, with the exception of May, in which we'll meet the first and the second, so May 6th and May 13th. August, we will meet August 5th and August 12th. November, we will meet November 18th and 25th, and December, we will meet on December 9th and the 16th.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Jennifer at this point? We've discussed that in the committee of the whole, so. All right, I would take a motion.
I move that we accept a resolution adopting the regular meeting schedule of the Murray City Municipal Council calendar for the calendar of year 2025.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Is there discussion on the motion? All right, would you take the vote, please, Brooke?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Nay.
And Ms. Dominguez?
Aye.
And Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay. The motion passes. All right, that's it for the regular, and now we get to the mayor's report and questions from the council. Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, the Streets Department asked if I would remind everyone that it's going to snow. Oh, it did today. All right, so we're going to get more snow. And they've just asked if there's no parking on the streets. It's really hard, and I know it's hard sometimes not to, but they need to build it. It just doesn't allow them to snow plow clean. And so they're just asking that snow plows, when they clear the roads during the snowstorms, to not park on the streets, and also not to place snow from your driveway or sidewalks into the roadway. So just, it'll help us. And who knows how much we'll be using the snow plows, but my gut says it's going to be quite a bit. So we'll see how prophetic I am on that one. But anyway, and then also Kim Sorensen asked me to remind everyone that the 20th, which is a week from Wednesday, I believe, that we have our council, or we have our volunteer banquet, and you're all invited. Have you put that on? It's on your calendars. Okay, so that's next Wednesday, and there'll be a lot of. Kim wanted to put up that Christmas tree early. I don't know why, but anyway. Okay, Kim. Anyway, you'll have a lot of decorations in here. Brenda told me on Thursday, this will be all decorated. So we're hopping for the holidays, so.
I know, that's exciting.
It is, kind of fun.
And when is the tree lighting?
December 7th at, does somebody remember? I want to say 6:30, let me look, but it's December 7th. On a Saturday, it begins at 6.
Nobody more excited than you, Mayor.
It's interesting. Last year, we had so many visits and to see the tree, so.
How many times, were you here every
And also
day?
there will be hot chocolate served by the
That's right.
NCC kids.
That's Pam and Sherry and the kids will be here doing hot chocolate. And
The mayor will be here every day.
I am kind of here every day, yes. I'm here about 5 times a day when that happens, but.
Not for work. Just to see
Yeah,
the tree.
just every day
Just to
for
see the
work
tree.
and then
Just to see the tree.
few days I'm working the tree, so. Anyway, that's all I have, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council, and we are adjourned.